This is the book of St. John, chapter 10, verse 4. And when he putteth forth his own sheep, he goeth before them, and the sheep follow him, for they know his voice. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, YAHAWASHI, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples towards younger brothers. And peace and blessings and salutation to the hopeful lake out there pushing his word in truth and in sincerity across the four winds. In the name of Yahweh Bashem Al Shai, pushing to get up out of here. Shalom to the hopeful lake, the believers, the listeners whom have came back to the obedience of the scriptures through faith in Yahweh Bashem Al Shai. All right, and what I want to get into today is dealing with the book of St. John, chapter 10, verse 4, concerning, all right, Yahawashi and his style of leadership, towards his people. So when you read the book of St. John, chapter 10, all right, in verse 4, and I want to read in NLT this time and go into, the custom of how, shepherds, okay, will operate amongst their sheep, in the east, okay, which is different from the west. Now, this is the book of St. John, chapter 10, verse 4. It says, after he has gathered his own flock, he walks ahead of them, and they follow him because they know his voice, okay? And the sheep of Yahawashi, all right, know the voice of Yahawashi. They're familiar, okay, with their shepherd, okay? Because this is a relationship that goes back, before the foundation of the world, all right? And Yahawashi, himself said, "You are they which have been with me from the beginning." Okay, and of course, they was with him at the beginning of, his worldly ministry when he was in the earth. Okay, that 3.5 year ministry he had, okay, in the earth when he came, as himself. Okay, the first time, all right, but in the spirit, also we understand that there was spirits back with Yahweh in the beginning. Okay, and those spirits are familiar with their shepherd Yahweh. Okay, so when you go to the customs, okay, of a shepherd, all right. So I asked the question in the chat. It says, "What is a custom of a shepherd?" In John chapter 10, verse 4. All right, and it says, so it goes into it. This is the NIV. It says, when he has brought all out, all right, his own, he goes ahead of them, and his sheep follow him because they know his voice. It says in this verse, Yahushua is drawn on the custom of shepherds in the ancient Near East. Unlike Western sheep herding practices today, where sheep are often driven from behind with dogs, shepherds in Israel typically lead their flocks from the front. So Western sheep herding, they drive their shepherds, with dogs, all right, from behind. Okay, the shepherd is not as hands on, okay, in the West, you see, which creates a disconnect, just like in the corporate world over here in America. A lot of times you work for people, all right, that you've never seen, and they have, this system of management, to where they pretty much drive you, okay, towards production, okay, which benefits people that you've never seen. They're not even hands on, okay, and that's the culture of the West, you see. But in the East, it was different, okay. It says here are some key customs reflected in that verse. It says calling by voice. Shepherds have unique calls or even gave their sheep names. The sheep grew so accustomed to their shepherd's voice that they would follow him and ignore strangers. The sheep grew so accustomed to their shepherd's voice that they will follow him and ignore strangers. Okay? And this is why, even when you go here in the book of St. John, as Yahushua is constantly making this analogy, comparing, all right, his relationship with the elect as a shepherd, with his sheep. Okay? St. John 10 and 26. Now he's talking to the wicked leadership of the time. All right, which he refers to these niggas as hirelings. Okay. Verse 26 it said, but you believe not, because ye are not of my shepherd, as I said unto you. My sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me. So he's speaking of ancient, all right, Near East shepherd practices, shepherd customs. Okay, where the shepherd would name his sheep, and the sheep would be so accustomed to his voice, all right, that when they heard, all right, his voice, they knew it was him. Just as when we heard, all right, YAHAWASHI through the preaching, of the men that YAHAWASHI has raised up, we knew it was him. Okay, we recognized our shepherd. Okay, through what teaching? This doctrine was familiar to us. It was already in our spirit. Faith was already in us, man. Trust was already built in us in YAHAWASHI. So when we heard, all right, the voice of YAHAWASHI through the prophets, okay, we began to follow, all right, our shepherd, man. Okay, it says, my sheep hear my voice, and I know them, all right, and they follow me. Okay, and I give unto them eternal life, and they shall never perish, neither shall any man pluck them out of my hand. My Father, which gave them me, is greater than all, and no man can pluck them out of my Father's hand. I and my Father are one. Okay, so Yahushua, all right, has a relationship, with his sheep. Okay, and it's very intimate. It's very hands on. Okay, because you go back into the customs. All right, it says leading from the front. It says instead of driving the sheep from behind, the shepherd walked ahead, guiding them to safe pastures and water, which is guiding us, to safe pastures and water in the spirit, which is His word. As we have, these green pastures, which are these scriptures. We're able to graze, all right, through these scriptures, throughout every day, you know, and be satisfied in the spirit. Okay, we have living waters, okay, and green pastures in the spirits to where we're able to graze daily, okay, because we've been led, to these green pastures and these living waters by Yahweh. Okay, and it said the sheep followed because they trusted him. Going ahead also meant the shepherd faced any dangers first, whether predators, thieves, or rough terrain. Okay, so the shepherd, he will be the first one to take on, all right, any dangers to the flock. Okay, he will be ahead of the flock. All right, and he would encounter anything that would be dangerous before them. He was a barrier, okay, between danger and the flock. Okay, and this is why today you see brothers, teach, against, false doctrines, against falsehoods, okay, against wicked leadership. You see, this world, things that can pull, all right, has pulled men back into the world. Okay, brother, teach on these things as what? As a barrier, okay, between danger in the spirit, okay, and the flock, the church. You see? And it says, a true shepherd, it says intimacy and trust. It says a true shepherd knew his sheep individually. This bond of familiarity and trust meant the sheep instinctively follow his lead without fear, man. Okay, and Yahweh Shai, he deals, with his sheep, okay, on the individual level. He deals with them as a collective, and he deals with them as an individual level. There's an intimate relationship between Yahweh Shai and his sheep. We all got, our unique and personal relationship with Yahweh Shai and how he deals with us, man. Okay, he doesn't deal with every, all right, one of his sheep the same. Okay, he deals with them in a particular way. You see, according to, how they are, how they made. You see, and it says, so in John 10 and 4, Yahweh Shai is showing that he, as the good shepherd, goes before his people, calls them personally, and they follow because they know and trust his voice. Okay? Because they know, all right, they and they trust his voice. You see? So going here, which the spirit has made particular men, all right, overseers of the flock, okay, to be in the stead of the good shepherd YAHAWASHI. This is the book of Acts, chapter 20, and verse 28. It says, "Take heed, therefore, unto yourselves." Okay, and it always begins with us taking heed unto ourselves, man. Okay, self-examination. Can't say it enough, man. Always looking inwardly, seeing what we can do different, what we can do better. Okay, what we can change. All right, for us to elevate. Okay, always looking to see what we can do better in every situation, man. Okay, constantly checking ourselves because we have to be on point. As we're in the stead of good shepherds, we have to be on point on another level, man. We got to sacrifice on another level. There is the sacrifice that's required of the shepherd and required of the sheep is different. Okay, and we can't be offended at that sacrifice. Okay, it says, "Take heed therefore unto yourselves and to all the flock over the which the Holy Spirit hath made you overseers." Okay, to feed the church of the Most High, which he have purchased with his own blood. So as Yahawashi has left, all right, he's left men, all right, as the overseer, okay, of his sheep. Okay, and we're not to act as the hireling. No, we're to act as if the sheep were ours, man. Okay, and have a hands-on approach and leading them from the front by what being those examples. Okay, which when you go here, because the Spirit has made particular men overseas. All right, through the ranking system of the church, man. Okay, so you can go here to the book of First Peter, and it expounds on it. So this the book of First Peter chapter 5 and verse 2. It says, "Feed the flock," all right, which Yahawashi, he demanded. Okay, this wasn't a suggestion he was giving the apostle Peter. Okay, before Yahawashi ascended, okay, into the chariot and went back to the Father, well, he demanded, okay, Peter to feed his sheep. Okay, and it says, "Feed the flock of the Most High, which is among you, taking the oversight thereof." All right, their responsibility. Oversight is a responsibility. Okay, it's not a thing to boast in because you have a position, okay, of leadership. No, leadership is a thing of responsibility. Okay, meaning that we're tasked, all right, with being good shepherds, taking on their responsibility, okay, of going before the flock, encountering things, all right, before the flock, and being that barrier for the flock in the spirit. Okay, it said, "Feed the flock of the Most High, which is among you, taking the oversight thereof, not by constraint, but willingly, not for filthy lucre, but of a ready mind." Okay, so we don't do these things, okay, based off of constraint. This thing is we got to be, people shouldn't have to beg us, okay, to fulfill our office, man. It shouldn't be like pulling teeth, getting us to fulfill our office, man. Now, uh, are are there times where it's like, God damn, absolutely. But even in that, we still, all right, should be self-motivated to do what we need to do. Okay? Understanding that the Lord is having mercy on us. You know, this is an opportunity of mercy that the Lord even allow us to be in this position, to be an example to the flock. Okay? And it says, neither as being lords over the Most High's heritage, but examples to the flock. You know, so we're not here, you know, to be lords and lord, you know, positions and rank over the flock. You know, as if the flock existence is to benefit us. Okay? No, no, we're here to be those examples of how the flock should be, how the flock should walk, the mindset, the perspective. Okay? And you go into it in NLT, it said, don't lord it over the people assigned to your care. You know? So when you lord something over, you know, make it seem as if people are entitled to you because of your rank and your position. Okay? You make it seem as if their duty, okay, is to be beneficial to you, and you just supposed to receive benefits, okay, because of your title or your status. Nah, man. Okay, this is a thing of responsibility, and we're here to serve. Okay, because we're serving, you know, our King YAHAWASHI by what being the service, okay, unto the flock. You see, and it says, don't lord it over the people as assigned to your care, but lead them by your own good example, man. You go into the word example. All right, which goes into typos. All right. And you go here to definition C. It says an example to be imitated of men worthy of imitation. Okay, and we should live, you know, as men worthy to be imitated, because we're living according to Yahawashi. You know, so it should be to the point if someone is imitating us, they're imitating, all right, a version of Yahawashi. Okay, just as Apostle Paul said, well, follow me as I follow Yahawashi. Okay, because what the Spirit made Apostle Paul what an overseer. Okay, of the church, man, a shepherd. You see, and this is what we're becoming in the Spirit as young men coming up. You know, as teachers. You know, the Spirit has given each brother, you know, a portion. Okay, to have an oversight. You know, so as there's men, set above us. Okay, that has the oversight of us. You know, there's men under us, and there's the church itself. Okay, that we have to constantly be examples for. Okay, so yeah, just wanted to tap into that. You know, Lord will, you brothers, all right, and you sisters edify once again. I want to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushua, Bahashem, Kakodash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples towards younger brothers, and peace and blessings salutation to the hopeful Shalom.